Previously on Crusader King Stories.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of Crusader King Stories. Last time we had a journey with Venice, but this time we explored the Arab/Islamic world. Perfect timing, because when this video goes live, the Ramadan is already over. So to all my Muslim brothers, I hope you had a good Ramadan this year. Also, this time again, I play with many mods. If you wanna know with which mods I play, check out the video description or the link in the comments. We also have some rules this time again. No rules except a Hajj for every ruler, only Muslim religion, Middle Eastern culture, and most importantly, survive.
It was once told that somewhere in the desert a man will rise, who they call Lisan al Gaib. He will bring forth a dynasty that will unite all of Islam. This prophecy must come true.
But we start right from the beginning, in the year 867, in a small county with the name Ormia, somewhere in the small Caucasus near Georgia in the Abbasid Empire. Al Gaib means something like the unknown or the outside world. Because of that, I bring with me the most powerful source in the universe: knowledge. I founded my own clan estate, which is meant to symbolize the strength of the Al Gaib for generations to come. Not only the Byzantines and the Asian vassals have access to the manors. At first, I focused on my monthly lifestyle. My little realm lays next to a very important position, next to the Shuka of Dune. That's a Silk Road trading outpost. And also the capital of my current liege. My kind liege also invited me to his council as his steward, which further improves my taxes. The base of 4.3, which is extremely high for such a small realm. To further enhance my monthly lifestyle experience, I selected the lifestyle and wealth management focus on my long-term plans, given by the Dark Ages mod. Only 1 year after the start, my wife got pregnant and I got my first son and heir. I also visited my liege in his capital, marched through the mountains, and decided to hail the Sultan for prestige and dynasty renown. My realm is currently home to 28,000 people. Let's see how this number will rise as the time progresses. The current dominant culture is Kurdish, and the dominant faith is Marish, basically Muslim faith. After my second son, I decided to build my first manor building, the market. And after that, shortly, the workshop. And it was time for the first Dynasty Legacy perk. Of course, I go for the Silk Road. And I also reinforce relations with Silk Road communities, and in that case, the Middle Eastern communities. And luckily directly got the business relationship with a Silk Road merchant. It looks like my name is already present on the Silk Road, because I established glory and fame across the Silk Road. I also built the barracks and got attacked on open street while traveling through my domain. Luckily, I survived the 14% murder attempt, and it looks like the Silk Road investment paid out. I also received a scroll from the merchants of the Middle East. And it was time for the first Hajj in this journey. Let's make a pilgrimage to the Mecca. Because of my pilgrimage, I activated the Prophet perk and reduced my faith creation cost by 50%. If you couldn't already guess what my plan was, now you know. I want to create my own faith and the one and only Muslim faith. My wife wasn't just anyone. I married the Caliph's sister, and that's why my player is now the Emir of Bahrain. That wasn't even my plan, but well, that's a lucky coincidence. I decided to assert my claims against my neighbors. By the way, my lord is a diplomatic genius. It will be nearly impossible to challenge his position as the Sultan. But I got the claim on my neighbor, and I had the opportunity to claim even the whole duchy. And I decided to do so. My spy master at the same time told me that my neighbor got only 16 men in his army. And my liege decided to presenting me a T-Rex. That's a big honor for a vassal. The scholar perk is also very helpful. The Empire of the West got already formed. So the Catholics are up to something big here, I think. I decided to borrow some gold to get out of my debts. Nearly at least. Time for the second Dynasty Legacy perk. This time the Blood Dynasty perk. I checked if I can already create a new faith, and then I saw that I need a duchy or higher title to form a new faith. Always new problems, but there are opportunities. My liege died, and just a small little kid is now my liege. But he has a huge force. Militarily, I can't do anything, but maybe diplomatically, at least get the duchy to form the new faith. That's my goal now. To further decrease my creation faith costs, I decided to diverge from my given culture and start a new culture, the Umayyan culture. As the culture head, I can now decide which innovation I want to discover first. And with my high learning skill, I am really capable to discover new innovations really fast. And I really need the new innovation because my army can only hold one regiment of men-at-arms. I got another council invitation from my liege, this time as the chancellor. And I decided to start a petition so my liege will grant me my claim over the duchy. Maybe he will. And he will do so. He accepted my offer. I got the duchy now. I am now a mighty emir, and the way is free now to form the new faith. I have now the possibility to appoint a tax collector. My son is now also my vassal near the coast. And let's start the one and only faith. With the following tenets: unrelenting faith because of more prowess, chthonic redoubts because of more conversion speed, and pursuit of power because of the conquest casus bellis against my neighbors. I am for now not the head of faith because I need to fulfill special conditions, but I started already converting my whole realm. And demanded conversion for my whole court. Two years later, my whole realm follows my ideals. And I even have a natural wonder, the Rainbow Mountains. Beautiful little addition. My power as Emir is not secure. My vassals are stronger than I am. And I started a Liberty faction to reduce my crown authority. I had no other choice but to accept. From one small little county to a whole duchy in one lifetime. And it seems like my life was about to end. 46% to get killed by a lunatic, Alim. He was indeed able to kill me. My realm got doubled in size because of the death of my father. Because my player heir was already the Emir of Bahrain and now the Emir of the former duchy of my father. But I now have the problem that I have to convert to my father's religion because I wasn't raised with my father's faith. After suffering from a huge money loss, my vassals again decided to reduce my crown authority. My most powerful vassal invited me to a tournament, presumably as a peace offering. But I had no chance there. I won nothing. Meanwhile, my manor is thriving. I upgraded the workshop again, and I saw that Georgia, my neighbors, were really strong with 5,000 men. My realm is now home to over 300,000 people. The Emirate of Bahrain is a nice addition to my realm, but nothing too important. My base is still my home county. And myself, I do look really powerful with high stats in diplomacy and intrigue. But I have a 0 stat in prowess because I'm missing a leg. Luckily I survived another murder attempt on myself. And now it's time again for another Hajj. Crossing the small mountains of the small Caucasus in myself and my liege's capital, Baghdad. But then a war got declared on me from my liege, who wants to get his emirate back. Now while I was at Hajj, my commanders had to deal with him, and I was able to pick up the 3rd perk of the Blood Dynasty perk tree. And finally arrived at Mecca. But at my home it looked really dangerous. Already one holding was besieged. But back to the Hajj. I finally arrived at Mecca. And this time I couldn't pay for the camels, so I go for the sheep. And I shaved all of my hair. Another really successful Hajj for myself. But at home, I had to fight. And because my liege used a very terrible commander with 9 advantage, I was actually able to defeat him in battle. Even though he had more men than me, but we still killed nearly the same amount of men in this battle. As the cultural head, I can also introduce a new tradition by my own. I decided to go for the dryland dwellers because of more development and taxes in desert countries. And also was able finally to convert to the Islam. But the battle wasn't over, and we fought in a second battle. He again had a terrible commander, so I was able to defeat his main army, but then his ally showed up. That's, by the way, the army of my former liege, he who held the county of Dune, the Silk Road outpost. Thank God I didn't have to stand up to him as well, and I was able to make a peace offering to my liege, and he accepted. So the war ended in a white peace. But only 1 month later, I died because of cancer. My realm stayed together, but I was again faced with the problem that I had to convert to the Islam again, and I didn't have enough piety now. So the first objective, get enough piety to get my real faith. I'm also a really nerfed version of my father, with no extraordinary stats. My caliph fought in a war against my south neighbor, because my neighbor decided to attack me for the Emirate of Bahrain. And that's why my caliph is also in the war, and he handled him quite easily. And finally, the drill training is discovered, and now I have access to more men-at-arms regiments. Thanks to my liege, I didn't lose the Emirate of Bahrain, so I bowed my knee in gratitude for his actions. But my mental state was questionable. I had frozen grief already. One great feature added by mods is the ability for various characters to offer you a trade. You get gold in return, and they receive substantial bonuses on a wide range of items. After the rule has been fulfilled, make a hajj with every ruler, I build up my mana even more and build a great field. I also managed to get a claim on the Chiefdom of Dabil. But still, nearly 800 piety was missing to convert to the Islam. And my liege decided to fight again against me. Let's build the market district for even more gold. Another cool mechanic is that armies can either replenish their regiments through a random event, like here with my leech, or they can get caught in storms, landslides, etc., cause them to lose troops. As I moved around my enemy's army, it happened so that he had lost a couple of. I was sieging his capital and then he stormed at me, and I was nearly able to conquer it. Just a couple of points were missing, but I decided to go for the fight on my own. After suffering from this huge defeat, I was also defeated in the entire war and lost my emirate. Now I only have the emirate of Bahrain left. But, haha, I was still best buddy with my caliph. So I asked him to transfer the claims. And he agreed to do so. What can we learn from this? Your liege's liege is your best buddy. But still I lost a huge chunk of land because I only got the claim for my hometown, the Umir, and not my old emirate. At least I got another proposed trade to come to old strength through investments of gold into development and more buildings. After a couple of years I was finally able to convert to faith because I lost a couple of vessels now and the conversion got cheaper. And I decided to invest my gold directly into the Silk Road by sending a courtier of mine to the Silk Road. And luckily she came back with even more gold and a cool new court item. As my final act, I introduced the pure-blooded perk for my dynasty because shortly after I died in my sleep in the age of 55. Allow me to paint you the full picture. My brother is now the emir of the duchy I lost and he holds my home county. My player heir is the emir of Bahrain and I had 3 children. If I would be able to get rid of all of my sons, I would play as my brother and then unite all of my land again. But before that, let's do another Hajj. Oh no! Unlucky. While I was at the Hajj, I got the pneumonia. Oh no. Unlucky. God damn it. I died. So my brother take over the reins. 2 missing. Yeah. Let's pretend you not see that. Oh no, I died because of being ill. 6 years after. And now I can retire from heading my house because my uncle is even stronger than I am. And so I will play as my uncle now and will unite my land again. And he was even able to conquer more land that I had even before my death. Enough of Bahrain, I gave it to my vessel. And now I hold the Rainbow Mountains even. And the capital of my duchy now. Of course, I reinforced relations with the Silk Road communities. The Middle Eastern communities again. And built the blacksmiths. But I still lost about 70,000 people during this process. My liege already presented me a terrace, thank you. I built the desert agricultures, and my uncle already had done a Hajj, so I hadn't do it by myself. Converting to the only religion, And my stewardship skill is absolutely out of control. I'm an economic mastermind and I focus highly on building up my empire. When we look outside of inner diplomatics, the Chinese hegemony fell apart. Francia got formed and is opposing a big threat onto the HRE. It was time to get the last perk of the Blood Dynasty perk tree and to activate the Warriors by Merit tradition. So I get stronger knights. I also sent out another Silk Road merchant. And my liege demanded conversion, but of course I declined. And my sent out courtier got lost somewhere. I never saw him again. My life's mission is to build military strength through economic prosperity. My liege is opposing a big threat on me. He demanded conversion all the time, and if I decline, he wants to imprison me. This time I was lucky and the war got invalidated. And shortly after that, he even granted me a vassal. His son, by the way. I feel there are some opportunities ahead with his son as my vassal. A couple of years earlier, in quiet times, I claimed the title of my neighbor, and now it's the time to enforce this claim. A vassal of mine also decided to switch sides and fight alongside my enemy, so I had to defeat him first. There's always, for every war, the possibility that vassals, depending on their opinion of you, they may change sides and declare for your enemy, for yourself, or stay neutral. I did lost the first battle against my enemy neighbor, so I had to hire mercenaries to fill up my ranks again and to stand a chance and to fight in my mountain castle next to the Rainbow Mountains. And there I was able to defeat her. Over the course of history, this mountain stronghold has proven to be an impregnable fortress for the Al Gaibs. Many battles will still be fought there. And one last battle in their mountains. I was attacked on the street, luckily I survived that attempt. And I enforced my demands and defeated my enemy. And directly converted their faith. The happiness wasn't for long. I died in the age of 60. My player heir, Ami Abd al-Qadir II, is of Persian culture, and that opens up new possibilities to form hybrid cultures and even new activities. I hosted one right from the start, the Sadi Festival. That's only available for characters of Persian culture. You gain a couple of traits, some prestige and stress loss. My liege tries to revoke my Emirate of Bahrain title. After a couple of minutes rethinking everything, it was a hard decision. I accepted his proposal and gave him the title of Bahrain. It wasn't even that necessary, so I gave it up. Directly when I had 40% culture acceptance of my former family's culture, I decided to form the Perso-Arabic hybrid culture between them two. It gave me the opportunity to select the Futuva tradition, which gives me access to 2 knights and more prowess. It gave me the Court Gardener, which gives me more development. This tradition gives me more gold and development. The Gulams give me extra heavy cavalry regiments and a special Mamluk man-at-arms. The Sasanian Legacy, a unique Persian tradition, brings me the Severance, one of the best heavy cavalry man-at-arms in existence for this time period. The land I lost was quick compensated by inheritance. I gave it up to some of my family and to my new vassal. I upgraded the cannons and sent another courtier to the Silk Road. Upgraded the hill forts at Ahar, where the mountains are, my strong mountain fortress, and got the Organizer Commander trait. My liege got only one child left because my vassal and his main player heir died. So I decided to make a little scheme against him. But the former player heir had a child and is my vassal still. So if I'm able to imprison him, I could kill him in my prisons and then only a little child would be left as my liege. So I attacked him won in a battle. Unluckily, the scheme failed and I couldn't kill the player heir of my liege. But at least I have won against my vassal and I was able to imprison him. And directly executed him. Bye bye. And now the child of my liege, who I tried to kill in the murder scheme, was my vassal now because he inherited the title from my former vassal. And now I could do the same thing again with this one. And I could imprison him, defeat him in battle, and kill him in my prison. The inheritance of my liege is really unsure now, because if his son dies, only a courtier of his would be the next in line, and so his realm would be up to uprisings, and I claimed even his title. Moved to the dungeon, because if I would kill him, everybody in the realm would hate me, so I decided to let him die in my dungeon. He tried to imprison me even and declared war on me because I declined. And then another battle on top of the mountains. It looks like my fortress holds strong, but I got as the commander the wounded trait. All of these battles were close calls. Without my mountain stronghold, I would lost every single one of the battles. The war wasn't over and my liege marched against me another time. I not only have the better position, I also outskill him in the topic of commander traits and advantage on battlefield. I have 43, he has only 28. And then he died while at war, and the random courtier got the liege title. I marched to his capital and sieged it successfully, and fought one last battle that I also won. Unluckily, I had to defeat his allies as well, so I could enforce my demands and end this war. But I haven't won anything, so I declare another war on him for his kingdom title. But right when I wanted to do it, he tried to imprison me, and then because I declined again, he attacked me again and I was at war again just because I declined the imprisonment. And then I had to fight a little battle again on top of my mountains. I absolutely wrecked my enemy in this battle, and I was able to siege his capital again, enforce my demands, and again start a war to press my claims. And I don't wait any longer now. I want to fight the battle to my conditions. I marched to his capital, directly defeated him in the battle, and sieged his capital. Conquered a little bit of land, and finally was able to claim the kingdom title. I am now a mighty sultan. As a mighty king or sultan, I am now in possession of a royal court, and I start to display all of my court items one by one, and I am even in possession of the keys to the Kaaba. Beautiful little addition to my court. Now, my former liege, who held the outpost of the Silk Road, is now my neighbor and some kind of my enemy. Decided to max out my Silk Road dynasty legacies and inherited a war from my former king I had to surrender to. My military wasn't up to the standards of a king, so I built up my military, but shortly after that I died in the age of 70. And because I became so old, my player also died right after that. But I enforced another Silk Road Dynasty perk tree. And I was up to 1.14 million people in my realm. The HRE conquered all of Central Europe. But I just built up my manor, claimed the Chiefdom of Divine, the Silk Road outpost, and got attacked on open street. Luckily I survived that, built up my castles, and declared a war on my southern neighbors for another emirate. He didn't really pose too big of a problem to me, even though he had strong allies. I was able to defeat them as well and sieged his capital. And then the Seljuks appeared and declared war on my liege, my caliph. I had the opportunity to stay neutral here because that wasn't facing me directly. And I won the war against my Kurdistan neighbors. By the way, 20 years passed between the death of my latest character and the Seljuk invasion. That's why I had a whole claim onto the Emirate of Kurdistan and the Chiefdom of Dune. And I got attacked another time on open street. And this time the murderers were successful. But nevertheless I continued my father's war and fought for the Chiefdom of Dune. After the first successful battle I was in the middle of my enemy's realm and got attacked, and I decided to fight this battle as the commander. After the battle I directly marched to his capital. I even got the Abbasid house banner artifact out of that. Somehow he was in possession of that. And I won my battle. I'm now the holder of the Silk Road trade outpost, the Chiefdom of Dune. Beautiful. The Seljuks got bigger and declared another war onto my liege, and this time I declared for my liege because They try to claim land which is mine. Have you seen that? 151,000 troops. My liege is absolutely snowballing here. And then the crusade for Jerusalem got declared. The Christians want to have a say too, I think. May Allah protect us. But at first let's win the battle against the invaders, the Seljuks. And that was successful because my liege is overpowering them. And then I was called to arms because the Christians are here. Oh, look at that. The whole of Europe is against us. Let's see who is stronger. The Arabs or the Europeans. One last battle against the invaders. And when we defeated them, the war was over. And another war started.
المظالم حتى الأراذيل ساموا رسول أهل العزائم القول قول الصوارم كي تسترد المظالم حتى الأراذيل ساموا رسول أهل العزائم القول قول الصوارم كي تسترد المظالم حتى الأراذيل ساموا رسول أهل العزائم ما دنسوا لي حمانا لو طوقته الضراغم حثالة البغي صالت فأين عهد الحواسم ناسوا بأننا أبات نذود ذود القشاعم نحن الذين وطئنا بالخيل عرش الأعاجم بالخيل عرش الأعاجم قول الصوارم كي تسترد المظالم حتى الأراذيل ساموا رسول أهل العزائم القول قول الصوارم كي تسترد المظالم.
After winning heroic in that holy war, the next objective is to occupy holy states. But which holy states? That's the question. We have the holding of Medina, which gives me 1 diplomacy per level of devotion. We have the holding of Mecca, which gives me more knight effectiveness and more piety per knight. We have the holding of Sinai. Then we have, of course, Jerusalem, which gives me more county conversion speed and more piety. And the holding of Baghdad, which gives me more development growth and reduced temple building construction cost. Together with these insane special buildings. It seems like these actions are something for my player heir, because I died at the age of 56 because of pneumonia. I accumulated a couple of artifacts, and of course, as always, the first thing to do is to establish relations with the Silk Road, and this time for the first time change the trade policies. I decided to combat piracy, so I reduced the chance to get attacked by pirates and lose gold from that. I also built grand cannons and gained huge bonuses from that. Cannons, by the way, were underground tunnels used in medieval Arabian Peninsula to transport groundwater over long distance for irrigation and drinking without the need for pumps. Now I can also check the educational content checkbox. Easy peasy. After modernizing and building up my empire, it was time to fight in another war for my de jure land. It was again against my former liege, who held the County of the Wind. And unluckily, last second I wasn't able to defeat his entire army. And once again I were killed, this time by my sister-in-law even. This story is all about getting killed by relatives or randoms. And I died in the age of only 33. My player heir got already 2 congenital traits thanks to my blood Dynasty Legacy perks. But this war wasn't over and I had to deal with it. Fought in the mountains and got defeated, absolutely demolished, because the AI was moving there for some reason. I wasn't moving my army there. And then he had an insane army and defeated me another time. And this time again I lost another 5,000 troops, and he only roughly 1,400. I mainly lost because I haven't forgot to train my army properly and was suffering from these huge penalties to my damage and toughness. When you go to war, always make sure to train your military properly, so this won't happen. My enemy on the other side must have keep that in mind. But whenever there is a war, I have the possibility to go back to my mountain fortress and fight the battle there. As my own commander to my armies, I was able to defeat him and destroy 5,000 troops this time for him. And then I was able to march through his land and conquering a couple of holdings from him. Even his capital. And next to his capital, after this one failed, I was able to defeat him entirely and enforce my demands. I hosted another pilgrimage, of course, because I'm a new ruler now and I have rules to follow. For my new reign and the victory in the war against my neighbor, I was directly hosting a grand tournament after that and participated in board game where I was able to lose, of course. And I was also participating in a 1v1. And there I was... Oh, I also lost there, unfortunately. But he cheated, right? Yes, of course. Yeah, everybody's cheating and I won this because I am for sure the best knight in this realm and everybody was for sure cheating there. Hehe. But these prizes were directly displayed on my court. To appoint the righteous caliph or the new head of faith, I must meet the following requirements. I'm an independent ruler. That one is already pretty much impossible right now. 10 Islamic counties with my faith, either the Sayyid or Karishi trait, 1 or even better 2 holy sites in my possession, and a high level of devotion. Now you get the point why I fight a war over the chiefdom of Medina and Mecca, because I need them to make myself the head of faith. This time I haven't forgot about the military training and gained another 2 knights. From my new holding, which I get through inheritance, I sailed to my enemy. And this time I was properly prepared. Another courtier of mine I sent to the Silk Road came back and brought me 500 gold and a nice cool new court artifact. That makes 4 already. And this time I crushed my enemy. With good preparation, the wars are way easier. And I was able to gain my first holy site. The holy site of Medina. Look at that beauty. Rolling taxes, development growth, piety. Insane. I fought another war over the jewel land of mine. Against my neighbor Najd. Or whatever he is called. He was quite surprisingly very weak. And I was able to defeat him in the mountains. And he flee already. But he had once again strong allies. And while in this war, I was able to select the very important dynasty perk to unlock the Azavira. They are insane archer cavalries. absolutely destroying enemy forces. And I decided to swap my tradition to another war-related tradition, +4 prowess and better knights. I have 46 battle advantage and destroying every army facing me. And even gained his war banner in one battle. It's a nice addition to my collection. With that, I was able to defeat him. Oh, gained another rival, whatever. My realm now covers about 3 million people now. And I also took the decision to create a royal army that give me about 2,000 extra men, consisting of armored footmen, pikemen, crossbowmen and light horsemen. After claiming another title, the title of Mecca this time. It took me a long time to claim this one. I was also building up the Chiefdom of Medina. And I decided only the county of Mecca wasn't enough. They want to have the whole duchy. And with these rightful claims, I prepared another war. And my player even now had the Karashi trait and a couple of other congenital traits. And again, the Christians decided it was time to fight in another holy war with the Kingdom of Jerusalem. It seemed like they hadn't had enough the last time they were beaten. But for me now, it's only time to focus on the Emirate of Mecca. And this battle again was quite easily won by me. And now I held the Great Mosque of Mecca. But the Christians are here again. And I have a feeling that they are better prepared this time. Christian have won this crusade. For me it was time to go for the Law dynasty tree. And now the Christians have a foot in the doorstep in the Middle East. And the medieval era has arrived as well. I need a stronger military and I always focus on more men-at-arms at first for every era. 3 years later I established another tradition, war-related. More martial, more prowess, more diplomacy, and better knights. Let's go for that. And I died in the age of 76. This time I became very old. Do you remember my player heir? He has insane stats, and he will claim what is his. I lost the Chiefdom of Medina by the inheritance, and my half-brother now holds it. But look at that when I go for marriages, what congenital traits will be inherited. That's absolutely beautiful. I'm also in a gold position for my leech and gained more gold by that. 6 years later, with that gold, I was able to build up my army to a standard where I can oppose a threat to different enemies now. I have the Severance, the Azaviras, the Mubarizun maxed out. My army looks promising. Oh no, what is that again? Come on. I got killed. Another time. And I don't even know who killed me. Bye bye. But my player He got the Karashi trade as well, and I even have the possibility to choose a warhorse with the name Izum, the horse of the Archangel Gabriel, and I'm halfway through the lore tree already. I need to be independent, so I checked my liege's army size, 187,000. What the hell? 25 years later, I was able to unlock the last perk, and there was the opportunity I needed. I know I can't defeat my liege purely with army size, and he died luckily. And his son, a young boy, is not really welcome on the throne and has an unstable reign. So I took the opportunity and declared an independence war and bribed some of his vassals to join my side now, because they are willing to. They don't want to have a little kid as their liege. And everybody accepted because they loved me and hated him. So I now outnumber him just by the fact that he hasn't the levies and the armies from his vassals now. I was able to defeat him in the first battle, and luckily I captured him by the first siege to Baghdad. And with that, that was the easiest war I've ever fought. And just by that, I took over the empire and now hold nearly all of the world. I know I couldn't control all of this realm because it was too big and too unstable, so I decided to go for some independencies to certain vassals. They hated me. It turns out that these granted independencies were a big mistake. But for now, I'm the new caliph of my empire. Not just by pure dumb military strength, but through smart diplomacy, I was able to claim what is rightful mine. The Dar al-Islam hegemony is the next step. But now you know what I mean by it was a big mistake granting the independence, because I need to control 70% of all Muslim counties, and that's pretty much impossible now. But let's do it with all of my problems and ignore them until they face you. So I arranged another tournament because I am the new caliph. And I participated again and won big this time, 3 times. I combat another time the piracy and now have the hegemonic trade power, which gave me 235 gold every month, just by that. I revoked his title and gained the title of Baghdad now. And my realm now consists of 44 million people. It was also time to establish the warrior priest, because it gave me more prowess and I need that. I upgraded a couple of buildings, the Grand Fortress for example, windmills and water mills everywhere across my realm. I pretty much banned slavery or changed the system to tenancy system, which gave them a little bit more life expectancy, and used the possibility to demand conversion to 600 indirect vassals at once. Imagine doing that all by yourself. And after many of them converted to my faith, I changed West Directive so they convert my faith now to their holdings. And I even established a metropolis into Baghdad, which gave me more population space. Thanks to some kind vassals, they gave me the funds I needed to upgrade Baghdad. Because I granted some of my former vassals the independence, some territory inside of my realm were independent as well, so I fought a war over that, and I tell you, that war was exhausting as hell. It took me 12 years to finish. It is absolutely exhausting to micromanage an army consisting of 200,000 men, and many of them are just levies that are pretty much useless at that state of the game. But whatever. I died in the age of 66 and a new caliph is here. Another 30 years later, nothing really happened. I fought another war over this Jewel land of mine and defeated my enemy. And fought another war against the Empire of Francia, which is, by the way, held by Muslim faith. Just like all of Europe now, or nearly all of the world, consists of Muslim faith. So I basically, to form the hegemony of the Al-Islam, I have to fight wars against the whole world and start claims for every region. That's pretty much impossible. I tried here my best to gain as much land as possible back from my earlier mistake. But first things first, let's fight another battle. I destroyed my enemy here so hard that the numbers were calculating wrongly, and I had lost minus 123,000. Well, I think that's wrong, but I at least won this battle here over a huge chunk of land and died in the age of 81. I had the desperate idea here to adopt the administrative government type, but that one also turned out to be another mistake. I am not even the strongest family in my realm, and I lost a couple of men-at-arms by that decision, and I had to completely rebuild my estate. That decision wasn't the best, but I continued my work to form the Al-Islam and was able to pick up the last perk of the glory perk tree and won against the Maghribs over the Kingdom of Maghrib, even in an invasion war. And directly when the truce ran out, I attacked him for another kingdom. He doesn't really stood a chance against me, and I also was able to higher my family rating, so I was quite even with the Sultanates now. But the hegemony of China, what happened there? Yeah, the relatives of Genghis Khan took over the hegemony of China, so That's maybe a possibility for me to shrink the size in Muslim counties over the world. For the next years, I just mass claimed everything I could and attacked everybody who I was able to defeat in battle. And that's just what I did. I had to regain all of my land to form the Dar al-Islam hegemony. 70% of all of the Muslim counties, I can show you later, that's absolutely insane amount of land I need to hold to form this right now. But I was able to defeat anybody. I was the strongest force in the world, but that was pretty much useless. I decided to go back to my clan ways because the succession and the problems that came with the bureaucracy just wasn't worth the effort. And yay, I had to rebuild my whole estate again. Let's go. Here's the problem. After all these decades of war, I don't even have half of the counties I need. So I must say, I failed. I failed here. And I have to find a different way to form the hegemony I want. And that's where the mods came in clutch again. I did one last pilgrimage to the holding of Mecca, and with that I had enough piety at the level of devotion I needed to form my custom hegemony. With a little workaround, I was able to form this hegemony, but I know that's not the same. I just wasn't able to form the hegemony as it should be. I failed there. You cannot always win in your stories. That's what I was feeling here. And what can I do now? Build the strongest army the world has ever seen, of course, and get all of the unique artifacts of the Islam. I gained the mantle of the Prophet, and I was also able to get a claim over the spear of the Prophet. And I challenged him for the artifact. The spear of the Prophet is also mine. And another addition to my court. I arranged some changes to my laws, and then it was time to fight one last war for the artifact, the Holy War Banner of Muhammad, a unique war banner. Our armies clashed, and it was time. the main battle was over and my enemy stood no chance anymore, I could freely walk across his realm, conquering capital and holding by holding. And just by that, I was able to win this artifact war and gain the holy banner of Muhammad. With that artifact in my hands, I hold now every Muslim artifact in existence. And that's everything I can do for now. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to found the hegemony the normal way, but that's just how it is sometimes. Anyway, I am the head of the Islamic faith. I have united the entire Arabian Peninsula under my rule and hold all of the symbols of the legitimacy in my hands. I consider the prophecy to have been fulfilled.